You're watching VTV 15, your source for local government, history, and the arts.
Good afternoon. I would like to call to order the meeting of the Parks Commission. It is 5 o'clock, December 12th, 2022. And we will begin with citizen communications. Is there anyone present that would like to address the commission on public issues of any import or concern? I don't see anybody here that's purely public and no full civilians out there, so. We'll move on and see if we can get a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting, November 14th.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
Motion and second to approve the minutes of the November 14th, 2022 meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we will accept those minutes and move right on into other business. To start with tonight, there's a development involving the council that we're all somewhat involved with because we kind of started it. Our master plan envisioned, or at least recommended, that the city consider having done an active transportation plan, kind of in connection with all the recommendations that we had for trails and things like that. If you'll recall that Paseo de Victoria Trail Plan, that I think is going to be kind of the basis of an active transportation plan, or at least something that'll be used to put together an active transportation plan. The city council last week hired a consultant to do the plan. And so I think tonight we're going to hear a little bit about that. And so.
Hello, good evening.
If you'd like to go ahead
yes.
and proceed, that's.
My name is Maggie Bergeron. I am the Metropolitan Planning Organization, or MPO Administrator for the Victoria MPO. And I don't want to give you everything, but the MPO is the regional transportation decision-making body. So it's made up of county commissioners, city council members, TxDOT, district officials, and we help program urbanized area funds, as well as conduct long and short-range transportation planning, studies, plans, etc. So in September of 2022, so just a few months ago, the MPO released an RFQ to solicit responses for the active transportation master plan. As Lee reminded you guys, Paseo de Victoria is our most recent active transportation master plan, which was actually developed in 2012. However, within that document, it doesn't really provide us a full-fledged active transportation master network. It doesn't provide us with a lot of recommendations for pedestrian, active transportation, vulnerable road user safety. There's so many terms for it, I apologize. So we released that RFQ looking for qualified consultants. 4 people responded, and as of last Tuesday, the City Council awarded the contract to Alliance Transportation Group, LLC, also known as ATG. They are a transportation planning firm. The MPO has worked with them before, and they also helped to develop our long-range transportation plan, the 2045 MTP, or Metropolitan Transportation Plan, which will kind of start as a backboard for the needs assessment and gap analysis for our active transportation network. I'll jump into the scope for the active transportation master plan, and then let you guys know a little bit about the timeline, and then I can answer any questions. So just very briefly, the active transportation master plan will conduct a needs and existing conditions analysis on the current network, and that will also include assessing the level of comfort for vulnerable road users, that's bicycle and pedestrian users as well. It's going to develop a long-term plan for all modes of active transportation in Victoria, develop related policies and programs for active transportation users, and the active transportation network, develop a map of the proposed active transportation network for all of Victoria, develop funding, phasing, and implementation strategies for the future development of the active transportation network, and develop a prioritized list of implementable active transportation projects by timeframe. All in all, to say, it's going to create a robust active transportation network plan. We're going to, I don't know if you guys have seen the Thoroughfare Master Plan. That's basically a bunch of roads. This is going to be, instead of roads, it's going to be sidewalks, trails, hike and bike networks. So we're going to try and connect the city as much as possible with active transportation routes. But a plan is not useful unless it has implementation and funding strategies. And so we definitely built that into our RFQ so that it will produce a project list along with that, a short time frame implementation project list, so 1 to 2 years, and then we'll have a 3 to 5 year outlook, and then 5 years and beyond into that. And finally, our timeline. So we awarded the contract last Tuesday. Project kickoff will begin after the holidays, so in January 2023. And we anticipate conducting community engagement and stakeholder meetings in the spring of 2023. And we will definitely be conducting stakeholder group interviews with this committee. We want to work in coordination with you guys, obviously, because parks are integral for an active transportation network. And I'd also like to mention that with the active transportation master plan, we will be forming a steering committee. And I know that we will likely be in contact with a couple of you guys to join that for us and provide that perspective. Finally, so the city is going to be paying for half of this plan, and then the MPO is going to be paying for the other half of it. So there will be some federal requirements, some safety action plan components included in there, which is great, because when you plan for the most vulnerable road user, you encompass safety in all of your transportation modes. But so if you see a little bit of those federal words and all of that stuff, it's just so we can build it into the MTP, and so that the city can continue to apply for grants through the IIJA to build out our network.
Right. Maggie, let me ask you, the old plan, the Paseo de Victoria, was it more than just the map that we all saw? Was there more to that original plan than that?
There were some policy recommendations, but the map was pretty much it. It provided just an outline, a general sketch of where those trail networks could go based off what we, our current right-of-way and our current network setup. I don't think that we're going to be starting over from scratch, but I mean, that map is definitely going to be one of the first things that we review with the consultant and obviously with the steering committee, because I know that since that plan's been developed, there have been other ways to create an active transportation network without causing chaos.
Yeah. These these consultants, Alliance, they're the ones that did our master transportation plan anyway, so they will have that information to draw from, right?
Yes, so the master transportation plan is all encompasses the entire MPO area, which is all of Victoria County. So they have that background, they've done a safety analysis, they've done, an active transportation analysis. They're just gonna have to refresh that data, and then we're gonna have to hit the public engagement hard, so.
What is the age of the master transportation plan? How long, where is it in its life cycle at this
It
point?
was developed in 2019 and adopted in April of 2020. However, we are federally required to update it every 5 years. So we will be updating the MTP starting at the end of next fiscal year.
It was pretty recent then, that's good.
So for the MPO, we are required to have a continuous, comprehensive, and collaborative transportation process, and the continuous process is not a joke. We are updating the MTP at least every 4 years, but it takes 2 years to develop, and then every 2 years, we develop our short-range transportation plan or program, and that pulls projects from our MTP and dedicates funding to it. So always planning for projects.
Well, so since 2012, when the Paseo plan was done, I mean, has there been, in the main transportation plan, has there been any consideration at all really given to, other than vehicular transportation?
No, well, I mean, the MPO is required to plan for all modes of transportation, but when it comes to the MTP, because we didn't have a very, and I don't want to say anything bad about Paseo de Victoria, but it wasn't a very strong foundation for an active transportation network. So really what we did in our MTP is we just did a safety analysis. These are, this is the data that we're seeing, that again, 60% of active transportation users are the ones that are higher risk for fatalities compared to motorists, that kind of stuff. So that will be easy for them to just refresh and update, because I think they'll only need to add 3 years of data to that. Sorry, yeah.
Well, Maggie, and I think other members of the commission would probably echo this, we encountered a lot of excitement, I thought, in our process for people wanting to really make some progress in this area. And I think our present city administration seems excited to do it. I mean, and I think this commitment to a new plan is certainly evidence of that commitment. And so I'm very excited about that.
I have a
Other
question.
questions and thoughts?
Where
from Commissioner?
would we find the scope of work? Is it posted on?
It is not posted, but if Jason will share, or one of your employees can share all of y'all's emails address with me, I can send it out to you guys. I have a copy of it right here, but only one, so but I can email that out to you guys, and it'll include the contract with it as well, so.
What about timeline?
Timeline, yes, I realized right as I ended the presentation, I never told you guys. So we'll be doing our public engagement throughout the spring and a little bit into the summer, and beginning fall 2023 is when we'll hold our public hearings over the draft plan. So just because we draft a plan, we still want to bring it back out to the public, make sure it's a-okay, address any comments. And we're looking at final adoption in October 2023.
Okay, so really less than a year, that's.
The majority of the time should really be done with us conducting public engagement, because like I said, we have a lot of the data, we just need to review and refresh, but we want to make sure we have thorough community input and implementable. That word is difficult. Projects that we can easily implement, and that, I love pie in the sky ideas, but it's hard to adopt a plan that says we're going to build 1,000 pedestrian bridges with no money. So we want to make sure it's both realistic and achievable.
Do you have any idea when the first visits will happen with the consultants, or I mean, have they been down already? I guess they probably have to some degree, but.
Our project kickoff will begin in January. They are pretty familiar with the area. I foresee us beginning our stakeholder meetings maybe late February, so they'll probably be in about February, March timeframe. And we will be conducting our public engagement both virtually and in person. We found that when it comes to engaging the public at large, providing them that virtual option really gets us more comments and more people engaged, so.
Other questions or thoughts or comments from Maggie?
Sounds very exciting, especially the trails and the hike and bike. That's what we've really been wanting.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's, we've got another, there are particular issues around town. Like one giant issue to me is University of Houston, the housing to the campus, and getting across a nasty 6 lanes of traffic. I mean, we have several situations like that. It would be great to have somebody take a hard look at those things too, because I assume that would be part of the.
Yes, so when they conduct the existing, existing assessment and reviews analysis of our network, they'll be looking at high crash collision areas where there is a large amount of stress on pedestrians or cyclists, and providing us policy recommendations, best crosswalks to navigate or provide crossings to in that situation. And as long as they're not on TxDOT roadways, we'll be able to maybe have a little bit more say over the design and speed control over that, if that is something that is a recommendation.
That's awesome.
Or even consider lighting on 59. That's where I see the highest pedestrians crossing randomly.
And that would,
No, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was about to say, and that's definitely something that we'll want to hear throughout the community engagement and our stakeholder workshops, and I hear that comment quite a bit, so I'll go ahead and just write it down.
One of the interesting ones that really is part of our deal is the John Stockbauer crossing for the trail system was. I don't think it's still ideal. I think it's still kind of frightening, but
Well,
at least there's a
especially 'cause
refuge in the middle now.
You have East high schoolers walking across that every single day, a couple times a day too. So it's kind of like a flood of people down there. And then there's not a stop sign, there's not a yield sign, there's no blinking lights, none of that.
And there was
Right,
for a
and-
while.
and that's
all
completely
that's-
gone.
Yeah, so, anyway.
We need to work on that. Sorry.
Anything
Oh,
else?
no, it's fine, I'm taking notes.
Anybody else have?
Well, I was just thinking also, like you were mentioning about the park over there, the high school going through, could there be a design like they have with U of H there, where they have those red blinking lights that come up and it just puts cars at a standstill where
Right.
Oh,
cross? Would that be too much to put into a plan like that, or?
I mean, that would
High traffic
definitely,
areas.
that would be an example of a policy recommendation that they would provide if we do find that there's a significant number of mid-block crossings, and there's no, sensible and reliable place to cross at an intersection. That would be one of those recommendations, a pedestrian hybrid beacon, or flashing hybrid beacon. Obviously through that, we'll be working with the city's engineering department. And so there's a few stakeholder groups that'll be involved, but we will all be sitting down to talk and review those kind of policy and programmatic designs.
I think just from our quick visit about it, the several examples, there's going to be plenty of work to do for this.
I'm
plan.
I'm extremely excited if I can just be a little bit personal about this. Active transportation, specifically safety and active transportation, was my thesis in graduate school. So I've always wanted to develop an active transportation plan for Victoria the moment I got here. So I'm very excited too.
Very
I'm
excited.
doubly excited to be involved, to have the city be involved in it and to get this thing moving. So that's great.
I agree. I'm excited because, you're gonna bring like Riverside Park into downtown, and downtown's gonna turn into where it goes, I'm sorry, into UHV. And then it's like, I've seen what the idea is behind all this, and we really will have connectivity to get us all the way around this town, and we'll be able to go on a bike. And that's so exciting, because we need that. I mean, currently, we don't have sidewalks that get us all over town, but now we'll have a trail system so you can, bike, scooter, walk, whatever you want to do on that, and that's exciting for us. So thank you for working on that, and thank you for putting your efforts into this. We're excited that you're doing it.
Yep, thank you. You're welcome. And we will be in contact with you guys.
Yay.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, Maggie. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Really quickly, I will say, it's also, obviously, it's a planning document, but those things are going to be able to help us out, just, multiple departments to be able to plan for it, budget for it, put it in a CIP, have conversations with city council. Y'all mentioned connectivity. That was one of the biggest things that was lined out in the master plan. So we're super excited about it, and just grateful to have Maggie on board with it.
And maybe if we can touch some education too. Those blinking lights you mentioned on Ben Wilson, people don't realize that blinking red means stop and go. They kind of stop and they wait for them to totally stop when no one's even there. So it's kind of aggravating, actually.
Yeah.
Sorry, just one last thing. That is also a part of the RFQ, that we did want to request specific education and programmatic active transportation activities, or again, programs to engage the community with, because you're correct. There's not a lot of people really understand what those lights mean unless you are an active transportation user that uses those all the time. And part of active transportation safety is education both on the motorist and the vulnerable road user side. So I'll stop talking.
No, that's a great point, Gail. Great point. All right. Jason, you want to talk about, or you want to remind us about the first weekend with bad weather in January when we're going to have our workshop, right?
Snow forecasting.
Haven't looked at next month's weather, but
Right, so we're going to be inside, right? Really just wanted to give you a friendly reminder about the workshop that we have scheduled for Saturday, January the 7th. It's going to be at the Parks and Recreation Office located at 532 McRae Drive. As you come into Riverside Park, the main entrance, quote unquote, but basically it's right across the street from the Children's Park, across the street from the Challenged Athletes Dream Complex. So we'll start at 8 o'clock sharp. We'll be there from 8 to 12. We'll have breakfast for you. So I think Jessica's going to be sending out some communication in regards to breakfast options and choices. But again, it's going to be similar to last year's. Really just want to talk with y'all about the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, go through some of those goals and priorities that you had, let you know what we've been able to check off of the box. Obviously, one of them that we just talked about just a few moments ago with the transportation plan. So, and then really just discuss more about where we're at as a department and kind of where you want to see us go for this upcoming year. And then, of course, talk about budget as well. So just wanted to provide a friendly reminder to the commission about the workshop in January.
okay. Thank you, Jason.
Yes, sir.
Departmental update.
Are we going to put out an agenda for that workshop, or?
Yeah, we can put one out there. Absolutely. Can do that. Yes, so Parks and Recreation update. Before I get into the Parks and Recreation update, one of the other components that City Council spoke about during the workshop was parkland dedication. So City Council had a workshop this past Friday where there was multiple updates from different divisions or different departments. One of those was in regards to the UDO, or basically ordinances. Parkland dedication was a big priority. I know that we had outlined within the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. We had discussions with the commission about parkland dedication. And so I just wanted to present to you that That was presented through the UDO update to City Council, and City Council gave them the head nod to move forward with some draft language to parkland dedication. And so just wanted to let you know that was another check in the box that we had, discussed a year or so ago. But nonetheless, just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. Of course, the timeline on the UDO is going to be a lot longer than the active transportation plan. We're talking probably another 1.5 to 2 years until it's completely finalized. But nonetheless, we do have parkland dedication draft support from City Council. So once we start getting that kind of language, the draft language, we'll be able to present that to you and then let you take a look at it, and we can go from there.
So the UDO is the Uniform Development Ordinance, is that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So the council was generally favorable at looking at that. Was there much comment or discussion about to what degree or what was?
No, it was, I think council had a few questions, just general questions about what does that look like? How would that potentially affect some of our developers coming in? The consultants provided a couple of options, obviously a lot of them that are already within, a lot of cities throughout Texas, which as some of y'all may or may not know or recall, parkland dedication was when a developer comes in, the city would in essence tell them, you need to provide X amount of amenities or you need to provide X amount of parkland within your neighborhood or development. There could also be a fee in lieu of parkland. So if they don't have the acreage to be able to provide parkland for said neighborhood, they could have a fee and pay a fee in lieu of that parkland dedication, which then that fee would go towards park improvements in some way, shape, or form, or park land acquisition. So that's basically what they talked about. Just gave them a couple of those options and just kind of just look for support, which they gave.
So let me understand, we don't have anything like that now, is what
No,
you're
sir.
saying?
No, sir. So a lot of the developers nowadays are coming in, and providing those amenities. The developers, like especially in Houston, you see those large developments taking place, but you also have a lot of parks that come with it, or amenities and trails and swimming pools. Those are the kinds of things that we would be looking at requiring on this parkland dedication. It would be amenities, trails, those types of things. But no, sir, currently we do not.
Was the council, did they seem amenable to that?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, sir. And so that's where the consultant will be going back and starting some draft language to be able to present to city staff and see what we can do about moving forward with it.
That's a really great step in the right direction,
Yes.
especially
Yes,
since
ma'am.
we did discuss it a year ago and it's been in the master plan, so good job.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, any other questions on the parkland dedication? I just wanted to mention that before I forgot, so that's a big thing.
The big thing.
Okay, cool. Well, Kimberly and I are going to, as normal, just kind of tag team this presentation. So as always, we'll go through the Parks and Recreation Division. We'll chat a little bit about the Golf Course Community Center. Just give you a quick update on sports tourism, and then just briefly talk about some of the projects. First and foremost, this is the last meeting of the year. Woohoo! We made it. Right? There was one clapper. Maybe it was a pin that dropped. I don't know. I'll take it though as an applaud. But nonetheless, I wanted to at least provide you a couple of the pictures that I just kind of skimmed through. We had a lot going on this year. We really did. Kudos to the team, but they really rocked and rolled. So this year, it seems like last year, but we had the 75th Riverside Stadium turned 75. We did a lot of community outreach. We were very intentional in trying to find and seek community outreach, and so there was a picture on the top right. Part of what we're doing internally with the department is we call it rebuilding, but just really trying to get more of our divisions to work with each other and collaborate more with each other, even with different departments, and really just trying to switch the mind frame. So you can see on that picture on the bottom left-hand side, it was a team building activity. And so we continue to do those at every quarterly department meeting that we have. And then, of course, all the conferences, you can see there was destruction that was getting ready to happen with Kimberly on a backhoe. She was doing some training. And then, of course, again, the more community outreach. There's There's a picture on the bottom right-hand side of a couple of our employees assisting with building a home. And kind of the story behind that is one of the employees that's in that picture, that's actually his home. And so that was really cool to be able to have some of the team members go out there from the city as well as his division and department to assist him in the rebuilding or the building of his home. So anyway, just wanted to kind of give a shout out and yeah, just brag a little bit about the team. So anyway, we'll go ahead and get into all the good stuff, the other good stuff. So park maintenance, we kind of did, it's interesting because it doesn't look like we did a lot. We didn't have a lot of verbiage up here, but we've been doing a lot. You know, the Ted B. Reed ribbon cutting, thank you all for the commissioners that were able to make it. Ted B. Reed Playground was, yes, it was contractors, but a lot of the parks maintenance staff were the ones that were pulling out of all the old stuff out. So they pulled out all the old equipment, they pulled out all the pebbles that were there. They actually had to come back in and assist them with some of the drainage, and so they were really crucial in, you know, Ted B. Reed Playground success. That picture on the right-hand side, it looks like just
Jason, real quick, so by doing
ma'am.
that, you saved quite a bit of money off of the contract, right?
Correct, yes, ma'am. We saved roughly, I was at $15,000-$20,000 or something like that with the demolition. So any way that we can do those types of things, we will. Very big, me personally, on internal services. If we can do it, we're going to. It's just going to outweigh, when do we get a contractor out there to get it done, or is it something that we can kind of, you know, keep doing a little bit at a time? So we'll definitely try to continue to find ways to save taxpayer dollars. The picture on the right-hand side, the far right-hand side looks like a bunch of rakes with going through the dirt, but a lot of our crushed granite trails have been compacted really severely, and so some of the ball field crew has equipment to be able to basically rake it and till it, and that's what they've been doing. They actually did that over at Ted B. Reed right before the playground ribbon cutting ceremony, just to freshen it up and make it look good. So kudos to them on that. A couple kids is actually playing on the on the playground. Just wanted to throw that in there. One other thing that we're working on that we had talked about probably a couple of months ago were the conservation areas throughout Riverside Park. We're actually working with the Nature Conservancy on that. They're based out of the Houston area. And we actually have a meeting with them, I think, later this week. But they're very excited about potentially restoring prairie land back into Riverside Park. We had them on site a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago at this point, and they were super excited. So now they're going to have their Houston director come down later this week, and we'll be discussing ways that we can continue to rejuvenate or regenerate the prairie lands in some of those conservation areas that we showed you back in October. And then the team in the middle, we've got Santa, we've got Mikey with his awesome socks, and we've got Letty. But those two folks right there were huge in helping us out with the Christmas parade. And of course, we had the Christmas parade that took place, was it 2 weeks ago now, downtown. So anything you want to add to that, Kimberly?
The big one was just, shouting out parks for their awesome recreation abilities and how much they help out the recreation team. So that was also to bring that into focus as well, especially for the Christmas events, because that really becomes all hands on deck. Jessica was instrumental in both of our Christmas events, helping us out. And I mean, even the golf course came out. So it's huge, and it's just a really big, it takes the whole department to make it happen.
Y'all did a great job. It was amazing. Christmas down here is amazing. So it's really, and recently I have heard so much that everyone feels like there's something to do. No one ever says anymore that there's nothing to do in Victoria. So I have seen that multiple times on Facebook that people are raving about how there's plenty going on down here.
Awesome.
So that's good.
Great.
You're engaging the community again.
That's great. That's good to hear. Because there really is. There's a lot going on just within our department, but let alone every other department, every other organization, in Victoria. So awesome.
Something else I wanted to mention regarding the Ted B. Reed Playground. Mm-hmm. In the ceremony that y'all had, you didn't mention, I think is one important thing, that it's the first playground of its kind to have the engineered wood fiber as the the play surface, the safety play surface.
Okay.
And last month, I commented on how dense it was in the mountain in the parking lot.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
once it's been spread, it is very soft and is very spongy. So it's very efficient and very effective, so.
Awesome. Thank you for that. You're correct. I don't think I mentioned the engineered wood fiber, and I also I mentioned this to you right before the meeting started, but we were out there on site with the salesman for Burke and Fun Abounds, and he had mentioned that the piece that you see in that bottom right-hand picture where the kids are climbing, that is a brand-new piece that Burke just came out with, and he believes that this is the first piece that has been installed with this line. So just something, we won't always be the first one for it, but this time we were. So, yeah, thank you for that comment.
Yes,
ma'am.
I think that Ted B. Reed Park should set the standard for all of our parks because it has so many amenities, so many picnic tables, so many shade areas, the trail, it's really great.
Awesome. Well, and we are, staff is out there, Kimberly, they're painting the pavilions, I believe. They're doing some new refurbishing out there. And they're really trying to tie in the blue and the green. And so there's going to be pavilions out there you'll see with the blue and the green. There are already tables out there kind of like that. But yes, ma'am, I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, anything else on parks maintenance before I go to the next slide? Okay. You know what, I'm just gonna toss this over to Kimberly because there is a lot going on in recreation and she knows way more than I do about it.
So November and December, so from our last meeting to this meeting, we had our hunt, right? We haven't had our hunt. So we had our 6 youth out, our 16s. We had they took 11 deer, so we had 8 doe and 3 bucks that were taken, and it was a 1-day hunt, and it was great. Everyone had a fantastic time. And then we had our 2 big Christmas events, which was really exciting. We had Christmas on the Square that we partnered with Main Street and Mother Cluckers, which was a huge success, and then the Christmas parade as well. Had about 100 floats come out, and I think they were bigger and better than what we've seen. So it was really, really great. And then, so coming up, we do have 2 movies. So next Tuesday, we will be sharing The Grinch, which I just learned today. People are classifying The Grinch with Jim Carrey as the classic Grinch. That is not the classic Grinch.
I'm with you.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm with you on that one too. Really?
I was like, yeah, people.
That's the Jim Carrey Grinch.
Yeah, there was a whole Facebook conversation. They're like, it's the classic Grinch. And I was like, we shouldn't call it that. That's not the classic Grinch. And then we're talking with some other staff, and they're like, oh, that's the classic Grinch.
Is there a more recent Grinch than Jim Carrey?
Our staff is all of
Tyler, the
what,
creator
40
Grinch.
combined?
There's one that came out this year. So, but we're doing the Jim Carrey Grinch next Tuesday, and then we'll be doing a movie. We are partnering with Christ Kitchen to offer a movie to the Queen City community, open to the general community as well, but specifically targeting Queen City. And we'll be doing a movie on the 29th out at Christ Kitchen.
Awesome.
What movie is that one? Do we know? To be
Elf.
determined.
Elf.
Oh, Elf. Gotcha. Okay.
It's at Christ Kitchen opposed to at the park adjacent?
And that's because of power. They have a lot more power capabilities.
Is that the classic Elf?
The classic Elf, yes.
Good one, sir.
And we will continue with Toddlers on the Trail this month.
Toddlers on the Trail is a really great program. If those of you who may not have any toddlers just to take out there, if you're in the area, I would encourage you to swing by. But Gabby is one of our recreation coordinators, and she facilitates this program. She has a really, really big following, and I think the same folks tell their friends, and it just keeps adding every time that there's a Toddlers on the Trail program. But that is one of the, I would say, one of the better programs that we have, but one of the most sought after programs. So really, really cool to connect those toddlers with the outdoor environment.
Are y'all still doing the book through the trail? I know that's the library, but are they still going to keep doing that as well? We can write and read?
So that is something that we definitely need to bring back.
I love it.
I loved it too, and I think it just kind of got lost with like just the shuffling of staff and trying to get our footing. But thank you for bringing that back up. Yes, that is definitely something that we want to continue with. It's a really great partnership with the library. They pick the book, we get it done. and then we get to learn and
ever seen
enjoy
that?
outside.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that, right?
so, yeah, you ride your bike through the trail, and then there's a book that you can read, and there's a page every so feet, like so many feet, and you can read the next page and the next. It was just a neat thing to do. So it makes the ride fun for the kids.
Yep, thank you.
Awesome. All right, golf course and community center. Golf course has been fairly quiet for November. There was a lot of rain that took place, and so there was a lot of days that golfers weren't ready to go out and hit the ball. Nonetheless, we did have 53 tournament rounds, 192 practice rounds, with an overall total of about 1,700 rounds. You could see the revenues down there on the bottom at 67,000 for the month of November. The biggest area that I wanted to point out to you is that we will be closed, obviously, on Christmas. So if you need golf, come out the day before or after, please. So anyway, so the stats, as you can see, again, November was down considerably compared to last year and even last month. But overall, the golf rounds are up compared to this same time last year. Same thing with our revenues. Our revenues are up compared to last year, but obviously down for the month of November because of just the lack of rounds that we had. In addition to that, it was the rain, and then of course we closed down one day for a day and a half for the youth hunting program. It kind of worked out anyway because it was pretty rainy and ugly outside anyway. It wasn't great golfing weather, so it worked out. Any questions on the golf course?
Have we announced yet that they have the rental clubs?
Oh, no, I don't think we have. Go ahead.
The golf course now has a ladies set and a gentleman's set of rental golf clubs.
Nice.
They're both right-handed, so I'm sorry, lefties. But
We're working
they're
on it.
there. Yes, we're working on it. So it's very exciting. So if you have people who want to get into golfing or give it a go, it's a great way.
How are the new GPS carts working out?
So they're installed in all 70 of the carts. They should all be working.
Is
as
it
long as
helping with
IT
the
doesn't.
traffic on the court?
I'm sorry?
Helping with the traffic on the course?
Yes.
To manage it?
Yes, and speaking with the Golf Pro, I think his biggest, the biggest thing is to stop people from going on the golf course when it's cart path only days. That's his biggest. He's like, man, it just works out. I'll tell you offline how to get around that, but apparently some people are getting around that. But nonetheless, we are taking care of that. So, but yes, it's helped out tremendously. Even when it comes to some of the areas where we have some temporary cart paths because of the construction with the duck pond, they're able to put that information on the screen. So right as they're approaching that tee box, they're able to know that there's an issue and kind of where to go. So.
And they do have a bedtime. So you can't access the carts after a certain time or before a certain time. So like if someone breaks into that cart barn, they're not getting, those carts aren't moving.
Oh,
They
yeah.
have to be like woken up through Rolando,
That's true.
activating them on the phone. We learned that from the youth hunting program.
You have to wake them up.
That's right.
You know, it's the things you find out on the job experience, right?
That's
On the job
right.
training.
I tried to use them and they wouldn't go, huh?
Yeah, it was way earlier than normal. They weren't ready for it.
That's awesome.
It's in the notes for next year.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's too funny. Any other questions on the golf course? No? Okay. I'll just run over community center really quickly. It actually went up just a few rentals from 18 to 20. 18 was last year, 18 was last month, 20 is this month. But we had 5 city meetings and trainings. We had 1 recreation program that took place over there, 14 non-city functions with a total rental or total usage of 20. We are starting to see more of the non-city functions coming back. Those are really starting to pick up. Again, those include like weddings, anything that's open to the public or even that's private. But those are starting to see a larger uptick in rentals.
Are you still looking at moving the parks admin offices to the community center grounds?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We actually went ahead and moved forward with that. It was a couple of weeks ago. It's right during Thanksgiving. It seems to. There's definitely some bumps in the road that we're going to have to get through. But we've met a couple different times, and we're getting into a system. So it's really going to be more of the educating the public to go to the Parks and Recreation office or to set up a tour of the facility. But yes, ma'am, we did move her over
So all of your offices are at the community center now?
at the Parks and Recreation Administration office,
Say what?
at the admin office at Parks and Recreation.
So Barbara, I wonder if you were asking something different.
Oh.
Did you ask if we were moving our admin, like the whole admin office to the community center?
Yes.
Oh, no, flip-flop. All the admin is at Parks and Recreation.
So our admin team, so Jessica, Barbara, and Tori,
Yes.
they're all at our admin office now. That's not what you were asking though.
In the park, at Riverside
Yes.
Park?
Correct, yes, ma'am.
They weren't there before?
Jessica and Tori were, Barbara was not. So Barbara was at the community center and now she's joined us over at the admin office.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
all right.
Sorry, but thank you for the clarification. It's completely off.
It's kind of confusing because, I mean, I'll call a number and somebody answers here when I need to call this number. So that was my question, that, you changed everything from one location and so what's the function of Jody? And if she's there by herself and how does she supervise, the other entity, like contracts and, meetings and stuff like that?
That's a great question. So part of the reason why we moved Barbara over there was to allow Jody to focus more on the community center itself. So it didn't make sense to have our administration, one admin completely off-site and the rest of them on-site, if you will. So we moved everybody over to the Parks and Rec admin office. We have an employee who oversees the special event consultations. That employee will also oversee the community center rental consultations. So that way we have a streamlined, basically a point of contact for anything related to any kind of special event or any kind of rental within the city. So Tori is our point person for that, our admin, and so she'll be handling all of that. How Jody oversees the community center would just be, she's being able to focus more on the daily operations, not necessarily having to worry about the administrative paperwork. I don't know if that answers your question.
Like, for example, when we have the meetings, consultations, a lot of times when we meet, we have to walk through exactly the point. So if we're having a consultation, it's gonna happen at the Parks office or at the community center?
No, so the thought is that you'll come into the Parks and Recreation office to fill out the application and provide any kind of deposits. When it comes to the consultation part of it, Tori will be reaching out to those special event coordinators, setting up a time, and then that way you, Tori, and Jody can walk the community center. So it will be at the community center,
Yeah,
yes,
because I
sir.
know sometimes, it's hard to visualize when you rent something.
Right.
And they said, this is exactly, where you start is exactly, I'm a visual person.
Sure.
And if I say, well, the table's gonna be here, I say, wait a minute, is it proportion to where I really want it? So when I consult, I usually say, okay, this is where I want to start
Right.
the tables for, or whatever event I have, or this is what I need,
Right.
visualize, and they look at it in mind, say, good, we got it.
Right, right. No, absolutely. We don't want to lose that aspect of it. Part of it too was that we were having people just, just stop in and kind of want to get shown around. And so that was taking a lot of time from what the admin or what Jody was specifically doing to go and show those folks. So, pulling that kind of, that part of it out of the equation and moving her over to Parks and Rec made it to where you would now have to schedule to go and see it. That doesn't mean that you can't stop by and just go take a look, but that's going to be up to what event's taking place and, is Jody available just to say you can go here and here, but not here?
Saturday blew my mind. I plumb forgot how to dim the lights and which light was which. 'Cause, normally, this is for this, you can do this and that, and I got it.
Yeah.
But Saturday I was, which light was what, so I had to be retrained. But for a
Gotcha.
year,
So that's the day of issue that we need to chat about, and we can definitely talk about that offline, but there should be somebody there to be able to assist you regardless of where the administration is at.
that's good.
Any other questions regarding the community center? Awesome. Okay, so we'll roll into sports tourism really quickly. Really, sports tourism is, they've been really just kind of getting everything going for TAF. it's a lot of TAF stuff. So we were able to add an extra game to TAF. It's going to be the archery and outdoors. And I believe we're also working on another kind of
Yes,
a water event, sport, right?
yes.
So I won't say anything yet, but we are working on a water sport with some folks in the room.
You can say it. We're going to add kayaking as an event.
We're going to try to add some kayaking to the event for the Winter Games of Texas. So we're working with Ashley on that for March. Yeah, definitely don't want to have it in January. I don't think we'll have a good turnout.
March.
But anyway, I wanted to let you know that she is still working on the Winter Games. It's a lot of just coordination and contacting the tournament directors. That's kind of where she's at right now with that. Still continuing to look for some of the other just events that are asking for RFPs. I know one of them has to deal with a firefighter challenge. I know there's that event that she's looking at. There's a couple other random things that we had thrown to her. Literally anything is on the table. So
Where's that pickleball tournament?
Like,
it's
Like,
literally
where's the
where?
pickleball tournament? Are you gonna add pickleball to your games?
Oh, yeah, we had them last year.
Oh, yeah.
Last year they were at West.
West.
This year they're going to be at the DEC. So,
DEC is, what's the
the
DEC?
District Event Center by the Aquatic Center off of Muir.
Okay, so they'll be modifying those courses, those tennis courts there to accommodate pickleball?
It'll be indoors. It's required that it's an indoor pickleball
Oh, really?
for the Winter Games, yeah. So we're using, the Pickleball is Great team again. So, same tournament directors from last year.
And I'll have cute little piggies for you too.
That's
Pickleball is great. That
Pig.
was his logo, as a pig. And we have disc golf and a couple other, your typical sports that we had like last year. We had gymnastics. Of course, gymnastics wasn't hosted here. It's hosted in the Dallas area. We have softball that's going to be coming up. We have flag football, a couple of them that are going to be happening in January. The bulk of them will be happening in January. I think we've got one scheduled for February, and then we've got 3 or 4 more scheduled for March. So it's really going to be, TAF Winter Games is going to be over a 3-month time period versus just a 3-day weekend. So we've been able to work with TAF on that, and they've been very open to kind of changing the rules. I don't want to say changing the rules for us, but expanding the rules. Very good. Thank you.
Do you guys,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
do you guys provide prizes or awards or trophies or anything for participation in the games?
Yeah, go ahead.
So we provide these really awesome medals. They're really, really cool. And then it's whatever the tournament director offers as a prize. So they take all the registration funding, so they run the tournament almost exactly as they normally would. So we have medals, and then it's whatever the tournaments want on top of that, the directors.
Like first, second, and third or something like that?
Yep.
Gold,
first,
silver,
second,
and bronze. I don't know if it's real.
Does-
but-
Are there different organizations sponsoring some of the different sports, or does TAAF
Sounds
kinda
like
run all
vendors.
of it, or how does?
It looks like different vendors are
That's what it
actually
kinda looks, yeah.
providing the games.
Yeah, we hire different tournament directors for each sport. TAF, they host the swim portion of it during the Winter Games, and then it's kind of whatever tournament directors that we're able to find to host those sports. Some of them are sanctioned by TAF, and some of them, like kayaking, like they don't have like a greater rule for kayaking or that kind of water sport, but we can still offer it.
Okay.
So, but like
So you
pickle,
just, like a sanctioning body for an amateur sport that exists
Right.
out there kind of in the wild, we could contract with them to bring them in and make that part of the games. Is that?
like disc golf is not sanctioned under TAF, but we can pull it in. Pickleball is sanctioned under TAF, which is why it has to be indoors. They do have different rules. Flag football sanctioned under TAF, so they have to follow TAF rules.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what tournament directors do you actually hire to run games, opposed to, like you mentioned, disc golf wasn't sanctioned? Does that mean that you don't hire that tournament director? They're on their own, or?
Oh no, we can still hire them. They just follow their guiding organization, whoever the tournament director, whoever they follow.
Their sanctioning body?
But it doesn't have to be, it's not TAF because they don't have that.
Just for clarification, that we don't hire anybody. We just ask them if they want to be a tournament director and just provide them the information that's needed. They do the rest. We don't pay the tournament directors.
We
Right.
give them the opportunity to run a tournament in their particular sport.
Correct.
Under the umbrella of the, okay,
Yeah,
Correct,
yeah, we
yes.
contract with them, but yeah, no, we don't pay them for anything.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, we don't hire anybody.
When you said hire, I was like, what?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, we're not hiring.
No, sorry, my bad, not hire. We do partner to run wheelchair basketball, though. That's one that we do help oversee.
Do y'all have special room rates or room blocks for this? Yes, okay. And is it with all the hotels, or, I mean, or do you have certain ones that y'all go through, or?
Work with CVB on that, don't we?
We do have a host hotel, but we pretty much need all the hotels for the amount of athletes that come in for this.
Joel can usually give you that info.
Awesome. All right. So really quickly, we'll just go into the projects. Of course, the biggest one is the duck pond, and that's quite honestly really the only picture that I'm going to show you today is the duck pond. But just to give you a quick update on the duck pond, they're about 80% through with removing the sludge material that we have that they needed to excavate. So Gail, hopefully within sometime this week, I should be getting into that good dirt. In addition to that, they're also pretty much done. You can kind of see on all of those pictures, there's a concrete ribbon on the bottom or a footing, and then you'll see a bunch of rebar that's sticking up. Well, that concrete that's on the bottom is the foundation for that vertical wall that they're going to be pouring in order to help with that erosion. And so as you can see in that far left picture, kind of where that, you might be able to see like a little yellow shirt or jacket or a vest or something. That's where they were at last week. That is kind of the general area where they're going to be ending that, so that wall. So they're pretty much done with the foundation of that. They should be coming in this week and start looking at pouring some of the concrete for the wall itself. So overall, we're looking at probably about a 25% completion of the entire project. There are a couple things that we're going to be going to council for, which is really just, some housekeeping items, going to be buy board items. That's going to be for the pier and the gazebo. That also is some additional savings for us to go directly through buy board for those two pieces. We're looking at almost a cost savings over $140,000 or $130,000. So a huge cost savings there, but we'll be doing that also for the dog park when we go for the shade structure. So we can buy directly through buy board. We don't have to have that middleman pricing or the 5, 10, 15, 20% surcharge. Just a couple other things since I'm on this. I don't have pictures, but we are going to be taking a T-box renovation and cart path renovation to City Council at the end of this month. That all goes hand in hand with the Duck Pond project. So because on the opposite side, where you can see on that far left picture, the back edge of the water that actually bumps up to the existing cart path for the driving or for the golf course, all of that has to be shifted because that pathway is a complete circle. So we want to keep the tee boxes further away from that path so we have less possibility of somebody shanking a ball. So we'll also put some vegetation within that green space too to be able to help mitigate anything flying, as well as signage to make sure that people are aware. And the GPS will have an alert at that hole that talks about people walking. So all of those different things that we chatted about a little bit about today, we'll definitely make sure we've got them all in place when it goes live. Another thing that y'all are probably going to want to know is I did reach out to our legal department last month. I sent them over a month or two ago, sent them over the information regarding the tree ordinances and regarding the Parks and Recreation Commission / Tree Commissioner, Tree Board. I do hope to have that presented to you. I was trying to have that presented to you in January. Hopefully we can still do that and then move forward with City Council approval and support after that time. So that's still something that's in the works. I just need to circle back around to legal and see where we're at with that.
So that's like the creation of a new commission?
Well, it wouldn't be a new commission. Yes and no. It would be the Parks and Recreation Commission serving as a dual role. It would be the Parks and Recreation Commission / tree board or tree commission. That is part of a requirement that we have for the Tree City USA. And so in order for us to move forward with that, we would have that. The only difference that you'll see is every quarter, we will have to have 2 meetings. It'll be basically, we'll convene into a tree board and then
board
reconvene
meeting,
into the Parks and Rec Commission. So by the requirements, we have to have 4 Parks Board meetings. So yes, ma'am, kind of a dual role. Otherwise, the only other update that I really have for you, De Leon Plaza, there was an update to that at the City Council workshop. We're involved with that to a certain extent just because of the fact that it's going to impact De Leon Plaza. And, obviously, once that's built, there's going to be, support that's going to be needed for the events that take place down there. So there's going to be a restroom involved with that as well. So that'll, I'm sure, defer back to Parks and Recreation. So we are working on the De Leon Plaza project in conjunction with Main Street and City Manager's Office and Public Works. So that's still moving forward. Another thing that I wanted to just give you a quick update on were the fee schedule, the wayfinding signage. There was, in the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, there was a recommendation on park entrance signs. They gave some renderings or conceptuals of what that would look like. Also within the master plan, there is also talks about having a set standard for construction and maintenance. So part of what we're looking at is engaging a consulting firm to look at creating a park entrance standards, if you will. So that way we can move forward with construction and any kind of improvements to any new facilities. We now have a set standard for those signs. So we are engaging a consulting firm for that, and hopefully we'll be able to move forward in the next couple of weeks with a proposal and potentially either push that to council or go ahead and get that rocking and rolling. And last but certainly not least, there is another plan that we're actually looking at, but we're looking at working with a consulting firm that is focused on deferred maintenance throughout the parks and recreation systems. Part of the reason why we engaged them was because we have a lot of new projects that are taking place. We have the soccer fields, we have the dog park, we have the duck pond, we have De Leon Plaza. And we need to make sure that we keep all of those amenities up to a high standard. And with our current workload and workforce, that's not able to happen. And so we need to figure out where our deferred maintenance is at and if there's any potential personnel increase or assistance that we could find with that. And so we are working with a consulting firm just to try to get proposals, very, very infancy stages of it, but just trying to get proposals and scopes of work and some of those things lined out. So just wanted to let y'all know that we are working on some of those items. Those kind of plans will be brought to y'all if and when we are able to move forward with it. So that's all I've got.
Are the picnic tables throughout the parks also part of the maintenance plan for pressure washing? I know the playgrounds are supposed to be on a schedule, but
Yes.
the actual picnic tables?
Yes, so everything should have some type of there should be some kind of a schedule for all of that. And that's something that has never been written down. There's never been any kind of set standard for that within our department. And so that's something that, yes, we are working on. And yes, it also is identified in the master plan. There's nothing as of right now that says, every 2 months you go and you pressure wash, or every winter or anything like that. It's very,
We
when
call
have
it a
time.
PM schedule at the plant.
Exactly.
And it kicks out a work order like 2 weeks before it's due or something along those lines.
Well, we are working, there's a lot of moving pieces behind the scenes that we're dealing with. A lot of it is the work order system too. A lot of it's the registration system for our software, for our recreation. So hopefully when we get that new work order system in, we can add those types of things so it can kick out a work order like that. And or just working with our supervisor to focus in on some of those, proactive items. I like being proactive, I don't like being reactive. So I agree with you on the PM schedule.
So there's no current schedule for playground pressure washing?
None. I mean, don't get me wrong, we say, hey, put these on a schedule, and so they'll, okay, well, Ted B. Reed this month, this one, this next month. So they have something out there, but there's nothing, if we wouldn't have engaged it, I'm not saying it wouldn't have happened, but it probably wouldn't have happened as fast. A lot of the maintenance was left to the supervisor to figure out what to do for the day. And that's fine, but there also needs to be that next level of, okay, here's the bigger
Definitely.
picture. And so what we preach in our leadership meetings is, the foreman or the supervisor should have that 100-foot level or the 200-foot level. The superintendent should have that 500-foot view. As we, as directors and assistant directors should have that 1,000 to 2,000-foot view. And so everybody has some kind of a view to be able to see what needs to be taken care of. So we're working towards it. We're just not there yet, unfortunately.
Is Stephen at y'all's office still, or is he at?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the only shift that changed was the administrative assistant for the community center.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So Jason, one of the, I think, struggles you've mentioned to me before that with regards to deferred maintenance is that you've never had all of your sites, pieces in one spot, right? So part of this deferred maintenance plan will also be parts, they'll do a needs analysis and they'll get everything into not a document, but into a software, basically? Is that?
What should happen.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're going to just put it into a software for us, or if that's something that they finish the plan, we take that information and then plug it in. But that's something that we need to work out with them. Again, it's a good point, a good conversation piece that we need to have with them.
Well, I guess my point is you don't have that up to now. You've got,
Correct,
so that's why this is so important now with all these new projects.
correct,
It's like you've got to pause,
exactly.
see what you have, and then learn how to go forward.
You need a database.
Yeah,
Exactly. I mean, you even
And a
look
plan.
at
So-
the playgrounds, for instance. I mean, there was nothing there other than we went out to the site for Ted B. Reed, and I was like, I'm shutting this thing down, like, if we don't get funding for it. I mean, it gets to a point where you defer the maintenance for so long that it becomes a hazard or an issue. And now we have to be reactive and not proactive and address those safety issues. And so, we're not even, as of right now, I would say, we don't have a steady playground maintenance replacement plan. And that's something that we'll need to be, we've already had conversations about it, but we need to be more intentional on some of those things. How long ago was this installed? What is the lifespan on it? What does it look like? How much does it get used? Does it have shade? Does it not? I mean, all those different components need to be thought about when we have those kinds of plans and replacement plans. So we don't even have something as simple as that as of right now.
You just need something, you said it, I think you need to get ahead of it instead of behind it.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
and it'll really help in staffing and budgeting and timelines and seasonality, and, I mean, it's where you need to go, so.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm glad to see you're getting that RFP out or whatever you're doing, so.
Yes,
good.
ma'am.
Go ahead, Ashley.
I was out on the river a couple days ago. We have a tree down. I just sent you that picture. But we do have a tree that is completely blocking the entire river.
I got you.
So, and you have to do the limbo to go underneath it, so it is a hazard. But when I was there, I saw that there's a ton of trash on the river again, okay? And which, I mean, that's not y'all, that just, it happens, right? And then it collects. And it really seems to collect in those areas down there. So when we had our last event, our last kayaking event, the race, we had in conjunction with, Keep Victoria Beautiful, and we were talking about making that a yearly event. Is it okay if I reach out to Keep Victoria Beautiful and see if we can have that at every cleanup that they do, that I'll head it up, but that we incorporate Riverside, so I can do a river cleanup at every one? Would that be okay with you, if it's okay with them?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I'll just plan to do that. That way we can keep cleaning the river. Because, I filled up my kayak with trash the other day, and it's like cooler lids and, fishing stuff left behind. So, that way we can kind of stay on top of it too, because y'all can't access the water, but we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you did great. Yeah, if you run into anything like a hazard down there, just let us know or send it to Kimberly or myself,
yes.
and we'll try to get it squared away.
Doesn't the city's responsibility end at the river's edge, though? You're not responsible for the water and the water flow.
We had a long conversation with legal. So transparently, we do own the riverbed, subsequently anything on top of it. So the water that is currently also going through at that point in time belongs to us. But as soon as it's gone, then it's gone.
Still the river's edge. You stop at the river's edge.
River bottom, and anything that's on
The
top of
water's
it.
edge.
The bottom,
Stop at the water's
we're
edge.
at
She's
the
saying
bottom.
riverbed, riverbed,
Oh.
not river's edge, riverbed. So that's the river.
The bottom, and anything on top of it.
That doesn't give me a line. Like, I would think your responsibility ends at the river's edge, like the water's edge.
So where so you have like your land and the river, we own that and then whatever on top of it.
Basically up to the edge line of the other people's property across the river.
That would include the water flow then.
Any of that water that is directly passing through, if it pools, then that's ours.
You have water rights to the river? The city owns water rights?
It most likely flows through, so no. But we own it while it's traveling through those 4.5 miles.
Well, yeah,
But you have a
the
right
state
to-
sets water rights.
Correct.
I was curious.
I don't know that you have a right to withdraw the water. You're saying that they've concluded that you own the bed of the stream to the center of the bed of the stream. That's where the property ownership line is. Is that what they're saying?
They said it was the whole bed, bottom of the river.
And I would agree with you. Every other city that I've worked in, it's the middle of the river.
That's
But,
what I
Would make
always
sense.
thought.
but
But
I
what's-
wasn't involved in that conversation. I'm not sure.
I bet it has to do with where city and county and personal property lines all line up. I bet it has something to do with that, because some of that is personal property, because there's cows over there.
Well, I think
So,
some.
On the
didn't
other side.
Some of it too have to deal with the fact that how long the deed or way back when the property was purchased or something along those lines, or no? No, okay, we won't even go there.
Don't
And the
speculate.
tree that
We'll get clarification on that with our legal department. We'll send just to provide you a quick email update.
And the tree that I'm talking about, Gail, is still attached by root into the city land. So it is blocking the river and it is still attached with roots to the city property. So it really would fall, I mean, it's a hazard at this point, so.
You need those mile river markers to tell us where it's at, huh?
Right, we're working on that one.
We just attended a meeting too where the city is going to redo all of the wayfinding signs in Victoria, and the goal date is 2024 because of our bicentennial. So we're going to see wayfinding signs that pretty much, they kind of are color-coded by districts. So, I mean, you're going to see a lot of wayfinding signs, and it's all going to be updated in the next couple of years, or year, I should say, throughout the
Very
city.
good.
All right. Wanted to just tell you, Jason, I thought it was wonderful to have the dog park groundbreaking. It was nice to see some earth moved around there and begin to kind of see what the place is going to look like. I think it's a great spot.
Yes, sir.
I really do.
I do too.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're, so 4 to 6 months project, so we're projecting May of 2023, that to be open. So hopefully sooner, but yes, sir. Thank you.
That's fantastic.
That is fantastic.
Anybody else have anything?
I'd just like to make a quick comment, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
I think that about the river there might fall under the Guadalupe River Authority with some of the regulations, what they have according to rivers as well. Because some of that same thing works like the Rio Grande River, how they do that. In other words, divided in the middle, and then anything to one side is the ownership of the other. So that may fall into something like that.
Right.
Second, I'd like to comment, Jason, on what you've done, your group has done, your division. They have brought this park, what I've seen, into more of a metropolitan feel-like. And Victoria has always been kind of dormant, small population. And now we're more becoming competitive with other parks in the metropolitan areas. So you have brought us pretty much, your division has brought us into the 21st century. Now, like anything else, there's always growing pains, things like that. I think you've been here, 2 years now?
2.5 years.
Two
yes,
and a
sir.
half years. And we've been at this master plan for a year and a half plus, I believe, something like that. And it's really taken to effect now, what's going on. And I think y'all have really brought it out, going into the community calendars, the programs you're dividing, and everything else. There's always question about funding and all. But you have brought up using not just a Band-Aid, but you have come up with solutions. And I think that's what's so fascinating about the parks we're having. And it takes time to grow. And I think in another 5 years, these parks are gonna be looking awesome in comparison to what it was 50 years ago.
Awesome.
Because back then, it was too much of avoidance or repairs or anything like that. It was just the same old, same old. So y'all have come in, y'all have taken quick action. So I hope you take this back to your division. You tell them they are doing an awesome job with the parks out here.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that, Commissioner. Thank you very much.
Sir. And the next question too,
sir.
are they gonna have new ducks coming in, or are they gonna be the same ducks coming into the pond?
Is the Victoria Symphony going to help us out? They have yellow duckies, right? Little rubber duckies.
Okay.
No, we have a couple of ducks that moved over to the golf course, so I'm sure those guys will, or
Awesome.
gals will venture back.
Tell their friends.
But
Well,
we will restock, we do
Yeah.
plan on stocking the pond.
Well, I hear people talking out there, and you've really your group has really put a new face to what it means coming to Riverside.
Awesome.
So it is awesome what you've done.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Congratulations
Appreciate
to
it.
y'all.
Thank you very much. We'll let the
Agree.
team
Y'all
know.
have a great team, wonderful
do.
team. You really do.
We do.
When do y'all plan to have the duck pond finished?
That's projected to be wrapped up in October of '23.
Could we do something in conjunction with the duck safari since theirs is in November?
I'm sure we can chat about that.
Because that would be really cool to do something with them and all of their duckies or their big duck and stuff. So
Absolutely.
it'd be awesome.
And just for the commission's sake, I mean, we can talk about this more in the workshop, but, if y'all ever feel the need to, or want to come and chat with us about some of the details and of what's going on in the department, please feel free to reach out to us. More than happy to schedule a meeting, and we can bring in as many folks as we need to. And y'all can talk to them directly about some of the, pros that we have going on, some of the challenges that they may be seeing. But feel free, I mean, please, I just want to make sure that everybody's aware that door is always open. Just let us know if there's any time that y'all want to, or again, we can talk about it more in the workshop and scheduling more of a tour or group. But just wanted to make sure that y'all were aware that invitation is wide open, so please.
Y'all have anything in the plans for the future for senior citizens? Those 50
Our
and above?
active adults, yes.
I just had a conversation with Jody about that today at the community center, and she's got a lot of ideas on some things that she wants to see. So hopefully in the next few months, we'll be able to roll out some cool stuff.
And as soon as we finish our doc, and then we will make sure that we do something with them as well. So I'm excited. Merry Christmas and Happy
Merry
New Year to
Christmas,
all.
everybody.
Yes.
Yeah,
Good work.
thank you all very much. It's been quite a year, and I think we've got a lot of stuff done. I think you guys have done a great job, and so happy holidays, Merry Christmas, all that stuff to everybody. So we'll see you again on the first weekend with crappy weather in January. January 7th.
We appreciate the support. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Okay, without objection, we'll be adjourned.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a blessed Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.